Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you all again. It is dark today, another stormy day. Maybe I can fix it a little bit. Is that better? Oh, that's a little bit better. Okay, so before I get into what we're going to be working on today, I want to remind everyone that my first real commercial release, Gunforged, is available now for purchase. So if you want a fun 2D roguelite shooter and also to support my work and my efforts as a full-time indie developer, then definitely check out the Steam page, purchase Gunforged if you're interested. You can also purchase it as part of a bundle, so you can get 2 games at a discounted combined price. Very positive ratings, 50 reviews, so that's very good. Thank you to everyone that reviewed. It's very much appreciated, and if you do play it, consider leaving me a review as well. And if you want to learn how to build a complete game in the Godot engine, I've got my Udemy courses linked below as well. This course is how to create a 2D survivor style game in Godot 4. 3,000 ratings, 18,000 students. I think, well, just go read the reviews and it speaks for itself. And yeah, so check those things out if you want to support my work or if you want to learn how to build a game. And otherwise, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, watch my other videos, all that good stuff. Okay. All right, so let's get into what we're doing today. First, hello, Knyaz, or Nyaz. I don't know if the K is silent, but welcome back. It's good to see you again. Wondering what the Obsidian plugin is called they use for management. That is the Obsidian Kanban community plugin. Kanban. So yeah. All right. Hello, Yaso. Good to see you again. Welcome, welcome. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Love your games and your work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I actually, a little bit yesterday, was working on speed control. So this has been a common comment on the game, which I agree with, which is that needs some kind of speed control here to, well, control the speed of the game. And I want to implement the pause as well. So we'll probably do that. This UI, I'm not in love with this UI. I don't know. I might put these controls maybe up here somewhere. Or maybe down here, give them a little bit more visual interest, but for now they're kind of just like placeholders so I can actually test the speed controls. So we've got like the default speed and the speed up and then a speed up again. And so let me show you how that works. Add enchantment to card, echo enchant. Got a lot of visual work to do too, so we'll see. We'll see how the stream goes. All right, so I'm just going to let this run without, well, I'll put this in here. So if I click begin, this is like the sort of default speed and I can speed this up. It doesn't speed up any animations yet, so I need to work on that as well. But there's the second speed and then I can do the third speed, which goes even faster. So all it controls right now is the turn speed. So I want to speed up the animations a little bit too. These kind of, you know, I mean, you know, the turns go really fast, but then they keep constantly getting interrupted by the animation. So I want to make that smoother. And then, of course, I want to implement the pause as well. I think what I'm going to do is implement the pause first, because I think that's going to be a little bit tricky. I think what I might be able to do is... So I think what the pause should do is it should just stop the turn cooldown or the turn ticking from happening. But I think that any currently in progress animations or whatnot are just going to finish. So it's not going to like pause the screen. It's just going to pause the turn ticking, and any turn that's currently in progress will finish before the countdown stops. And then I'm going to, once that pause is implemented, I'm going to cause it to pause automatically when you bring up the card inspection container here. So that way in the middle of combat, you know, the combat's not continuing while you're trying to read what something's doing. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, well, yeah, that's it. So let's get into the code and we'll see what's going on here. So the way that this is working is I've got a game speed manager that keeps track of a speed tier, which is just an integer value of 1, 2, or 3. And then those are matched up to a multiplier. So default multiplier is 2, then the second multiplier is 6, and then the third multiplier is 12. Those are just kind of like arbitrary numbers that I chose that feel good. And then of course we've got the current speed tier here. And I can set the speed tier. And of course that's emitting a signal as well, which should actually be probably up here. That's emitting a signal when the speed tier changes. And then that's accounted for in this turn manager here. So I need to do a pause. I need to do a pause now. Look at this guy making games again. Yes, indeed. Welcome, Jake. Good to see you. Hello. Hey, P. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you here. So, speed controls. So what I'll do is I'll probably add a public static void pause here. And what I'll do is I'll create a private static int previous speed tier. So we want to save this. Previous speed tier is equal to speed tier. And I need to store that so I can restore the speed after it's been paused. Do I want to do that? I actually don't know if I want to do that. Maybe I should make a speed tier. Shoot. How do I want to do this? Do I want to make 0 the pause speed? Maybe. Let's do, yeah, let's put a 0 in here. This is going to be kind of weird. I can't return 0 here because this is used as a denominator in a division operation, which would give a divide by 0 error. So I cannot make the 0 speed tier return a 0 as the multiplier, as the game speed here. So I'll just set that to 1. It's just going to be kind of garbage anyway. So I'm going to do set speed tier to 0. Oh, this is going to be tough, actually. You know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a different signal. Public delegate void paused event handler. And we'll just do this here. Instance.emit signal paused. Instance.emit signal resumed. Okay. So maybe I don't need this previous speed tier. I might not need that. Let's go to my speed controls UI. Oops. Speed controls UI. Hello, Craig. Welcome back. Always good to see you. Game speed manager .instance.connect paused. On game speed paused, I guess. On game speed resumed. On game speed paused. On game speed resumed. All right, when container on container GUI input. My UI is kind of iffy here, but we'll add the pause container to this array of containers that we're listening for input on. And then what? Oh, I need to call, yeah. If container is equal to pause container, we'll just do a pause and return. Oh, we need to accept event as well. Might as well just put this up here. Okay. I think in here I can just do update the visual. I'm kind of mixing and matching things all the time, but let's just do update visual 0. That should work. Oh, this is play highlight. Oh, highlight container. No, that's not going to work. Okay. Let's get rid of that then. Actually, highlight container not equal to pause container. Okay, I think that'll work. It's a little bit messy. This kind of UI is not very good, but that's all right. So we just need to highlight that pause when it's paused, and then we need to implement that actual pause logic. So I think what I'm going to do is so essentially this loop, this on timer timeout, is no longer going to execute. I think what I can do is, what do I want to do? Turn manager. Can I just set, I think in Godot 4 you can set a node as paused rather than setting the whole tree as paused. Is that true? Is that true? How do I do that? Unless I'm mistaken. Pausable? Oh, can I not do this? Stops processing when scene tree.paused is true. This is the inverse of process mode when paused. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I read that wrong. Priority. Let's read about the scene tree pause. I kind of don't want to. I mean, I could just modify the timer that's running here, but that's a little bit tricky. Hello, Pinsalax. Welcome back. Good to see you. Adam, good to see you again as well. Off topic, but do you know if you can split merge a path 3D? I'm trying to make a track that has one start point but can be multiple endpoints. Docs basically say it inherits from a curve 3D. Well, I'm not familiar with path 3D in particular, but can you make it work in like a tricky way? What happens if you use multiple paths that all share the same like initial segment? Do you know what I mean? So if you want them to end in different points, what I would do is I would just create a different path for each endpoint that you want, and then have each path just share the exact points at the beginning, or however long the segment is that you want. Now that can get very unwieldy if you've got like a very big branching structure, but if you've only got like 4 or 5 different endpoints, and it's not too much work to just manually set up the paths such that they each have the same initial path, or the same initial points, then I'd probably just do that and then just have whatever you're doing, just choose a random path. You know what I mean? But to do what you're talking about, I'm not sure. I don't have a good answer for that. So I guess, So I've only worked with Path 2D, but I did kind of like that. I made a game, a tower defense game called Farmers Incoming, and that had multiple endpoints or multiple start points, I guess, in some cases. And I just chose a random path for the entities to follow. It's basically what I'm doing currently, just have multiple paths, but I'm essentially trying to make it a randomized map gen, so not sure how many to limit it to. Oh, I see, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the only other way to do it would be to kind of write your own path implementation. Maybe that would be the way to do it. If you could write your own path implementation or write your own like points of interest, like where the path segments, where the path points need to exist. If you store that as like a data structure of some kind, like an array, then you could like construct in code the actual curves for those points. And then you could create as many curves as you want, like algorithmically. But that's a lot of work too, so I don't know. Some ideas for you. Yeah, I understand. I understand, yeah. I think that's probably a tricky problem. So how do I want to do this? The problem is I don't want to like pause and unpause the timer. I might have to though. I wonder if I do this. On game speed changed. If I just do update game speed timer with bool. This is kind of bad, but let's do false here. I'm just kind of trying, I'm going to see if this works and we'll go from here. Game speed manager, instance.connect, paused on game speed, paused on game speed, resumed. We'll put those two methods in here. Private void, void on game speed, paused. So I don't want to modify the timer because it's kind of complex when the timer should be running, and I think it's pretty easy to get into a bad state here. But I think if I do this update game speed timer and I do true here for the is pause, for the do pause. Oh, shoot. Let's do if, oh man. This is going to be difficult. Maybe I should just do this. Private void update pause. Yeah, there's a bunch of trickiness here. Okay, update pause, bool should pause. Let's just create, I'm just going to create a private bool timer. Let's do timer should be running is equal to not is combat ended and not is combat ending. Okay, so if should pause and timer should be running. And we're going to do timer.paused equals true. Else if should, yeah, we'll just do that. Else if not should pause and timer.paused equals false. Maybe I don't need this. I don't know if does start undo the pause? I guess we'll find out. I wonder if you call start while a timer is paused, if that clears the pause status or if it keeps it paused. I don't think so. Oh, A paused timer does not process until this property is set back to false, even when timer start double is called. So what we're going to want to do probably is, okay, that actually makes sense. So the fact that this is not going to change any other timer state actually makes this easier. So what I might do then is, I might be able to get away with just pausing the timer, actually. I don't think I need to do any other work here. Now, there's going to be a situation where if you have the timer paused and then you enter another combat, I think what I want to do when you click begin is detect, is the timer currently paused? If it is, then I'm just going to set it to whatever your previous game speed was, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, so let's do update pause here. True. I wonder if that's going to work. Let's just try it. Hadn't thought honestly of just using the same points within multiple curved 3Ds though. Then I don't have to have like 10 identical points in the same locations. Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully that gives you some ideas. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, it's probably a tricky problem. There might not be a super elegant solution for it. Thanks for telling me about NetFox. It's been a great help. You're welcome, Programming Gamer. Happy to see you back here. And yeah, I'm happy that helped. Hello, Sanzo. Good effing morning, people. Okay, well, there you go. Sanzo coming out hot. Welcome back. It's always good to see you. I started using Pixelorama, found out it's built with Godot. I haven't done much yet, but I found out it's open source. You can apparently grab the files and run it inside Godot. Oh, interesting. Do you think there's some useful or unique way I can use it to integrate in my workflow or something? Well, I think the only useful way would be, I mean, I could see a Godot integration of like a pixel art program being useful in the sense that it could reduce some steps of your workflow, where if you could just open the pixel editor as like part of a tab up here and just like have the art update in editor as you paint over it. I could see that being very useful, or that could remove some steps or prevent context switching to a different app like Sprite. But yeah, I don't know. That would be the only thing really I could think of. It's technically morning, I guess, just getting some midnight satisfactory in. Oh, you're like on a very different time zone than I am. Midnight satisfactory and very nice. Midnight gaming hits different. So let's see. Like I said, I'm not in love with this UI that I've got going on here. I might change that. Max health increase. Okay, let's just see. So begin, if I pause this. Oh, right. So I paused it. We got some errors here. Cool. Oh, I think this here, yeah, so this is the problem. Shoot. Well, let's fix this. There's a visuals problem in here, which is this process here. Update, interpolate progress. Is in combat, is interpolate progress locked. What is this? What is this? What is this? I'm gonna have to add another Boolean. Private bool is game speed paused. Game speed manager dot instance dot connect paused on game speed paused on game speed resumed. On game speed paused. Void on game speed resumed. So I'm going to need to do this. Is game speed paused equals true? False. We're going to update this interpolate progress. And not is game speed paused. So that visual indicator for the turn cooldown is actually separate from the game time. It's just an interpolation. So this process method basically is responsible for taking that white bar and ticking it up as the turns progress, but it's not tied to anything in particular. It's just inferring the amount of progress that should happen every frame based on the game speed, and it's running. But I have to stop processing that bar's progress based on the different game events that happen. So this is just a purely visual thing, but it needs to match the current game state, right? So we're going to see if that works, and then we'll figure out why resuming the game doesn't work. And then we'll figure out why resuming the game doesn't work. Okay. Begin, pause. So that paused there. If I resume, that does not resume. So the progress stopped ticking. That's good. I think there's probably a problem in here. This update game speed timer. Oh, yeah, right. Speed controls. It's not unpausing. So I need to store the pause state here. Static bool is paused. I'm not going to do this previous speed tier for now. If is paused, we're going to call resume. Okay, I think that will fix it. Now to see if the timers work properly. Yeah, it should. Okay, let's do this. I don't know why I chose alchemy, but let's do it. The alchemy animation is pretty fun to look at, if I do say so myself. Begin, pause, resume. So yeah, so the turn will complete even when you click pause because it's still processing. So as soon as the timer calls this, or as soon as this on timer timeout is handled, this is what's processing all the turns and animations in here. So even if the timer is paused, that just means that the timer's not ticking. It doesn't mean that this stuff gets interrupted. And I don't really think that I want to implement a way to interrupt all this stuff either, because that's just going to be a huge headache. So I'm just going to let this entire logical loop finish even when the player clicks pause. And all pause is going to do is it's just going to stop the turns from ticking. So as soon as that turn is done processing, it won't resume after that. And of course, if stuff is in the process of ticking, then, well, then it'll just stop. And I think that'll be fine. Begin, pause. I can inspect these things. I can click resume, pause, speed up. So yeah, we need to increase the speed of the animations and whatnot. But I think the pause is basically working now. So that's great. So yeah, I don't know. We'll figure out something else for this UI, I suppose. But I do want to add like an Autoresolve button though. Seeing that Godot has multiple window support, I think I might take advantage of that, perhaps using it for console debug display. That is a good idea, actually. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, spawning off a separate dev window in debug mode where you can like run a specific scene that can handle instantiating things. The question I would have is, how does that work? How do the windows communicate with each other? Do they share the same scene tree? Because if they share the same scene tree, then you should just be able to send signals and whatnot and just access everything as you normally would. But if they have a different scene tree, then that would be... I wonder how the communication works. I don't know. I'm assuming they share the same scene tree. They have to, right? I wonder if there's already some sort of plugin or something for that would be really useful. I mean, Godot's built-in editor. Why not Sprite Maker? Yeah. I mean, adding something like that as an add-on is definitely a good idea, or it can be a good idea for people. I personally am of the opinion that I don't want a sprite editor in the Godot editor itself. But I mean, I could see it being very useful for something like the mobile version of Godot. You know, a lot of people do their development in the Godot like Android version, basically the Godot mobile editor, and so having a sprite editor built into that, so you don't have to switch to a different app and like worry about saving things on the you know, Android file system or whatever. I think that'd be very useful. Okay. So added pause functionality. Oh, right. There's one other edge case that I need to consider here. It's not really an edge case, but it's just like if I'm in the pause state when I start another encounter, I need to go back to whatever your previous speed was. Begin should basically unpause. So if I have this paused here and I click begin, nothing's going to happen. And I don't want the player to be confused like, wait, I click begin and nothing's happening. So I think I'm just going to automatically switch to the previous state. So I think I will need to store that. I think I can do this. Public game events.instance.connect game events.signalName.combat started callable.from on combat started void on combat started set speed tier to previous speed tier. I think that will work. So I'm just going to set this to the middle speed here and then pause it. And then as soon as I click begin, it should go back to the middle speed. Begin. Boom, there it goes. I'm gonna put it back at the lower speed here, pause it. Okay, I think that's probably fine. There's something interesting going on here. So this is kind of, whenever the statuses are ticked by the status component, it just does a 0.3 second delay, like an animation timer. The problem is, if the status doesn't have an animation like the shield, it just ends up looking really jittery for some reason. So yeah, I just need to address that too. There's so much work to do in this little game. My goodness. My goodness. Okay, implement game speed pausing. All right, let's do the fun thing now, which is coming up with a way to do auto resolve and auto resolution. Yes. Auto resolution. How's that going to work? I think I'll just do it with a button for now so we can work on the code. What I want to do is like a hold to press. So like you have to hold the button for like a second to auto resolve, just to prevent people from automatically bumping it, because people may like to watch the combat play out. So you hold the button for 1 second and then it will auto resolve. The first window is a node. Oh, autocorrect added first. Oh, the window is a node. Okay. Good morning, Christopher. Welcome back. You add a window node and all the subnodes for the new window below that. I gotcha. Okay, so if it does share the same scene tree, then yeah, like a debug console would be perfect. Don't underestimate Pixelorama. I've used Sprite and still prefer it. I might have to try it then. Click auto resolve button, automatically win. Yeah, every time. Every time. All right, so let's go to my speed controls here. This is going to be relatively tricky, I think. Just call this test for now. Auto resolve button. Node private button, auto resolve button. Auto resolve button dot pressed plus equals on auto resolve. I'll just call it on auto resolve pressed. On auto resolve pressed. Game speed manager dot instance dot auto resolve. That'll work. Game speed manager public static void auto resolve. I'll call it auto resolve requested. Instance dot emit signal auto resolve requested. Why doesn't it like this? Oh, there we go. Okay. So that's the easy part. That's just getting a signal in there. Now I actually need to handle it. So in my turn manager here, I think the easiest thing to do would be to put, okay, so there's a couple of things I need to do. Let's just do something very simple for now. Game speed manager dot instance dot connect. Game speed manager dot signal name auto resolve requested. Private void on auto resolve requested. Okay, so we're gonna do this. If not is combat ended. Let's do this. While not is combat ended and not is combat ending on timer timeout. And we're also going to do this. If not timer dot is stopped, timer dot stop. I'm curious to see what happens with this. Now this is not going to skip any animations, but what it is going to do is it's going to skip every turn. So we'll have to skip the animations as part of the next step, but we're going to try this. And I'll also, if I click this here, right, that's going to break. Okay. So yeah, we actually need a way of knowing. We actually need a way of knowing if we're in combat. I'm gonna get rid of that because I'm not using that anymore. On combat started. Game events dot instance dot connect. Combat started on combat started. Private bool can auto resolve. Okay, so on combat ended. Can auto resolve equals false. What is combat ending? Okay. So let's do on combat started, private void on combat started. Can auto-resolve equals true. If not can auto-resolve, return. Okay, let's try that. One note, in settings for the editor, you need to set it to not open as a sub-window, otherwise it just opens an in-engine without opening as a native window. Oh, interesting. Oh, right, yeah. It uses like the engine GUI. The native override didn't seem to work for me on the node itself. Embed sub-windows was the setting. Okay, interesting. A project setting thought it was an editor setting probably because there is an inverse setting in the editor settings. Well, that's confusing. Oh, there's an editor. Oh, yeah. So there's two places. Okay, that is very confusing. That is very confusing. Max health increase. Increase board size. All right. Clicking this does nothing. All right, let's try it. Villager 1. That should still do nothing. Begin. Test. That doesn't work either. Probably because I need to await this timer timeout. Shoot. This is going to be tricky. Let's just await this. I just want to see if this approach is even going to work before I start. Before I start doing things. I just want to see if this is going to work. All right, let's put this here. Begin. Okay, so that is working. That's kind of fun. Okay, so that worked. So now we just need to skip the animations. Now the problem here is this is calling start every time. So I'm gonna do this. Create another private bool. Is auto-resolving. Is auto-resolving equals true. And the reason I need to do that is because if not is auto-resolving, so we don't want to start this timer again. Okay, so let's get rid of this now. So we know that works. So now we don't need to await the on timer timeout. What we need to do instead is we need to skip. We need to skip any animations here. Public int public bool is auto-resolving. Oh boy, okay. Am I gonna have to handle this everywhere? Actually, this may be easier than I think it's going to be. Let's start in here first. I'm just going to store a variable up here. Is auto-resolving equals execution context. Turn context dot is auto-resolving. If not is auto-resolving. Notify ability executed. I think this is just... This is just affect players, but I'm just going to do if execution context, whoa, execution context dot turn context dot is auto resolving. If not, okay, are those the only two places where await is done in here? Yes, okay. So now we need to look at the turn executor component here. Await tick statuses. If execution context dot turn context dot is auto resolving. Keep forgetting to put if not. If not. So tick statuses, if not is auto resolving, we'll avoid that await there. Await turn tick, this just does the run lifecycle tick, run execution, play ripple animation. Yeah, we want to skip that. This feels very messy to me, but I don't know a better way of skipping the animations other than doing this. Execute abilities, await task when all. So because this play trigger animation, yeah, this shouldn't run. So turn context dot is auto resolving, question mark, task dot completed task, otherwise this execute abilities should basically just happen instantaneously because I've already guarded these two awaits. Oh wait, yeah. I've already guarded this. So as long as I'm skipping all these awaits here, I think it'll be fine. Task when all, there's an await here, but I think the way that tasks work is if there's actually there's nothing asynchronously happening, then it basically just resolves immediately. So this is basically going to be synchronous code. If there's nothing to be awaited. I think that's how it works. I guess we'll find out. Okay. We're either going to crash or the game is going to end immediately. Does using VS Code instead of Godot's built-in IDE come with advantages apart from extensions? Well, I'm using C#. Godot's built-in IDE does not have C# IntelliSense. So that's one big advantage. But yeah, there's all kinds of extensions and stuff with VS Code, auto formatting and things of that nature. The find and replace is a lot nicer in VS Code than Godot editor. So one thing is that you can open multiple Windows scripts at a time, and two is that scripts don't randomly move around the tree, I would say. Okay, gotcha. Keep mine off to the side on the second monitor with my editor open as my main. Yeah. Yeah, C# linting is a good one too. Hello, Sins. How do you write C#? Do you write C# for a day job? If so, with VS Code or another IDE? No, I don't have a day job right now. This is my quote-unquote job. YouTube and selling Gunforged and my courses and all that stuff. Obviously, I'm making my next commercial game right now. So we'll see how that goes. But when I was working full-time as a software engineer, I was actually using a full JavaScript/TypeScript stack. So I only write C# for game development, basically. Wonder if anyone has made a plugin for JetBrains yet. For Godot. Okay, so let's try this. Boom. Begin. Test. Okay, so that basically worked. Did that basically work? Oh, we got some debugger errors. Oh, I didn't pass in the turn context here. Okay. Gotta get those numbers out of there too. We don't want all those numbers to show up. Try again. Boom, boom, boom. Ooh, that worked. Did a bunch of numbers show up? I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, a ton of numbers show up. So I think if I just remove the numbers... Now, this actually kind of makes me think that I want like maybe a proper like victory screen or something. Yeah, I probably should do that. Add victory screen animation with recap of rewards. Well, let's say add brief victory. Because if I do Autoresolve, I don't know instantly like did I win or not. So, but it seems to be working. So we just want to prevent those numbers from showing up. We can add some more flashiness to it as well. Gosh, these screens need some serious design work here. These screens need some serious design work. Oh, I lost that one. Okay, well, it's working great, though. That's a good thing. So we just need to prevent those numbers from spawning, and we'll be okay. And we'll be okay. Congratulations on going full-time whenever that happened. Oh yeah, that was back in August. So I've been doing this for 8 months now, I guess. I've done dev work for C#, worked in a stupid ERP system. What is an ERP system? Enterprise something? How'd you come up with the idea for this game? Yeah, so I was playing that new game, The Bazaar, which is like an asynchronous auto battler. And I was like, oh, this is very interesting. And then I was like, this would be interesting as like a roguelike formula. But I also didn't want to copy the Bazaar exactly. So the couple of changes that I made from the Bazaar is the grid that you can use for your cards/items is different. It's 2-dimensional instead of 1-dimensional, right? So in the Bazaar, it's just like a row that you put your cards in. This is 2-dimensional, so you got rows and columns, right? But then the main hook of this game is that I kind of started with the theme. I was like, I want it to be like necromancer, alchemy theme, like auto battler. That'd be really cool. And then since I just had that theme in mind, I'm like, well, what if you could alchemize cards? So that's sort of like the main hook of the game is you'll be able to combine different cards together in the alchemy system to create cards that have the abilities of both. And I think that's going to be super fun. And then of course, the difference is that it's going to be roguelike. So there's going to be all kinds of opportunities for the player to get really powerful and all that stuff. So I had to do C# for an interview and was not a fan of the fact that he used 25% of his 16-core CPU was just typing boilerplate. Oh yeah. Enterprise resource planning. Gotcha. I still don't know what you're making. I can explain the game a little bit. That is Obsidian with the Obsidian Kanban plugin, Gustav. So I guess I can explain the game a little bit right now. So yeah, the way to describe this game with buzzwords is it's a collectible card game, auto battler, roguelike, where you can mix cards in an alchemy system, basically. So the general gist of the game is that you collect your cards from these quote-unquote booster packs here, and each card has its own abilities. So like the Skeleton Warrior deals 8 damage, the Bell resets the cooldown of one enemy minion card. So this is kind of like a collectible card game thing that you have played before. Every card has its own abilities. But the interesting thing is that, let's see if I can get the alchemy system. Yeah. So the interesting thing is you can alchemize cards with the alchemy system. And so if I put the skeleton and the bell inside of the alchemy system, what I get as an output is I get cards that have both of those abilities on it. So now the skeleton deals 8 damage and resets the cooldown of one minion ability. And then, of course, I want to add that onto my board, and I want to optimize my card placements on my board given my size constraints, because you can also have cards that provide buffs or have extra behaviors depending on if they're adjacent to certain different types of cards or whatever. So there's cards that affect other cards, there's cards that act in a standalone, and then of course you can alchemize these things to get mixtures of both. And then you just go through and you fight these encounters. So this is where the auto battler portion comes in. When you click play, it just plays out. So all the cards have turn cooldown. So this is how many turns it takes for them to execute. And when they execute, they deal their damage. And yeah, it's basically just a game of like inventory management where you want to optimize your board and its DPS output so that you can beat the enemy boards. And this is all going to be wrapped, or is all wrapped, in a roguelike formula. So the idea is that no two runs are going to be exactly the same. You'll have different events here to choose from, and different cards that you're basically crafting, all that kind of stuff. So there's an enchantment system here, so I can add an echo enchant to this guy here, and now he's got the echo enchant, which means that he'll execute all abilities again. So he'll do each of these lines twice now. And I can also upgrade a card. So I'm going to upgrade this card and use this as the input, upgrade. Now I've got a tier 2 skeleton that does both of those things. So this skeleton's actually going to be super powerful. So let's see what happens. So he's resetting the cooldowns of both of those things. Yeah. Oh, that's actually not working. Interesting. Yeah, so, but anyway, that's the idea. I'm going to add this as a bug. Incense tier scaling doesn't affect more than one enemy minion. That's probably just an oversight in how I'm querying the data. But yeah, that's the game. What's the progression? What does the player get after winning and such? So that's still part of the game that I'm working on. Right now you get this blood currency, which will be used in a shop in the future, but it's also used to purchase like health rewards. This will basically just be used to purchase things like cards or upgrades or whatever. And the rounds get progressively harder. So the progression is essentially you get currency, you face harder and harder enemies, but your cards are also getting more powerful. So their tiers are increasing. You're alchemizing more and more sophisticated and complex cards. You're adding enchantments to them, so on and so forth. So it's basically the progression is just your power just increases all the way until the end of the game. And there's bosses that you fight at the end and all that stuff. So all of this is still work in progress, obviously. So I don't have it all fleshed out yet, but so that question is kind of TBD still. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Oh well. I want to make the alchemy system more sophisticated though than it already is. I want it to have more possible outputs. Right now it just takes the abilities of all the input cards and mixes them together. But I want to do things like where if you put two cards with the same tier in, it can spit out a higher tier one. Like I want to give it more permutation potential. I might also, oh, I'm soft locked now. I might also steal an idea from like Path of Exile where there could just be like input items that you put in here that guarantee a certain outcome. That would be kind of cool. But anyway, that's the idea. I'm thinking of a merchant with personality. Yeah, I think the shop. So the shop it's going to be some kind of merchant, I think. But then what I want to do with the shop is I want it to be a place where you can like buy events. So typically being able to alchemize cards is an event, is what I'm calling them. But if you could go to the shop and pay 25 blood or whatever to use the alchemy station, I think that'd be super cool. Or you could pay like X amount of blood to upgrade a card, right? Or you could just buy cards that are available in the inventory of the merchant, right? And then there could be cards that only appear at the merchant, right? So they can't be they cannot be acquired from any other part of the game except through the shop. And so I think there's a lot of really interesting things to do with this system, but anyway, lots of stuff. So I got to figure out where that floating text is spawned for the Autoresolve system. But anyway, I'm going to take a quick Grunchar the Gluttonous, a merchant pig that likes eating shawarma. That is funny. That is very funny. Grunchar the Gluttonous. That gives me some ideas for sure. Do you have any more Udemy courses cooking? I love the format, your style of teaching. Yes, actually, I'm going to be starting work on an online multiplayer course very shortly. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break, get a refill of my drink and all that stuff. In the meanwhile, please check out the links in the description below. Those are all the ways you can support my work. I'll be right back in just 2 minutes and we will continue on with this work. All right, I'm back. Welcome back to me. All right, so where is this? We need to turn off the floating text. Text float. Find all references. Board text float component on health. Oh, this is happening on health change. Oh. I see. Well, that's not ideal. Right. I wonder, game speed manager. I kind of feel like maybe I should do this. Public static bool is auto resolving. Let's do this on combat ended. Private void on combat ended is auto resolving equals false. Is auto resolving equals true. Emit signal auto resolve requested. That may not be good, actually. Because I can request an auto-resolve at any point. What I probably should do, actually, is... in the speed controls here... what I probably should do is auto-resolve button dot visible equals false by default. Game events dot instance dot connect game events signal name combat started on combat started combat ending on combat ending. This is kind of a mess. Private void on combat started. Auto resolve button dot visible equals true. And we'll hide it again. It's kind of, I mean, this is not ideal, but I can't really see a way that these could ever become out of sync, so I think it's okay. I think it's okay what I'm doing here. Is auto-resolving true? Is auto-resolving false? Yeah, we'll try it. So the reason I did that is because now I can go in here. If game speed manager dot is auto resolving, we'll just return true. So we'll just return out of that so we're not spawning any text floats from that. And that should hopefully work. That should hopefully work. Nice. So I still get the heal number, which is great because the combat is over at that point. Okay, increase board size again. Begin auto resolve. Ooh. Okay. I think that's working pretty good. Can't complain. Can't complain. So now I'm just going to make sure that the timer still works. Oh, it doesn't. Cool. What did I do? Uh-oh. That's not good. That's not good. What? What happened? I broke the normal game. Turn manager, let's see. Did I turn is auto-resolving to false ever? Oh, maybe that's the problem. Oh, I don't think I ever turned is auto-resolving to false. That's the problem, I think. Goodness gracious. Okay. Lots of state to manage. Lots of state to manage. So we're gonna have to go through this stuff again. Begin, pause, go fast. Okay, so that's working. Pause, auto-resolve. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So I've auto-resolved. Let's see if this gets fixed now. Okay, it seems to be fixed. How am I winning those trades? I don't understand. Maybe is my auto-resolve broken? I should probably make sure that this is actually working the way it should be. What? What? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, something's broken. Oh, wow. There's all kinds of bugs here. Why can't I add stuff onto this board? Hello? Oh, goodness. Oh, no. Shoot. How did I win that one? Oh, must be necrosis kicking in. I wonder if the necrosis is winning for me. So there's a status effect in the game that just prevents the combat encounters from dragging out too long. And that is, did I break something? It looks like I broke something. I keep getting to add echo enchantments here. Enchant. Apply enchant container. Oh man, I'm gonna have to figure this out. So there's a problem with my enchantments. Does that only happen after auto-resolving? Something weird's going on here. Something weird is going on here. Max health increase, add enchantment. Let's just see. If I start here and I go here, so that works. There must be a problem with auto-resolve. Also, why am I winning those? I don't understand. Okay, anyway. Okay, I lost that one. That makes sense. Oh, I did the wrong thing. That's right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out. That's a weird bug. Okay. Enchant, echo, enchant, sometimes bugs and applies multiple. Echo also cannot drag card back into inventory. That is going to be a hard bug to track down. I have absolutely no clue where to even begin understanding that bug. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure that one out. Maybe not today. Because the problem is I don't really know how to reproduce it. So if I put a card here and I do echo enchant and I do this and I bring it back, it works. If I click begin test, let's just do this. Add enchantment, echo again. Why does that work? I don't understand. I don't understand. Oh, that's definitely broken. Oh, there must be something wrong here. You know what probably is the case is if this turn is processing as soon as I click Autoresolve requested, I think there's some kind of clash happening in here. Because I may have a turn that's still in progress. So if I'm in the middle of a game, of a combat encounter, and there's a bunch of animations playing as part of this on time or timeout here, and then I click the auto-resolve button while those animations are playing, it's going to do all of this, which means that, I don't know how to describe it, but there's not a proper ordering of like the life cycle ticks, which is probably causing issues. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that the last called on time or timeout has finished before I do this loop here. So what I need to do actually is probably what I probably need to do is take all this, let's move this into a different method. Call that process turns. I'm going to store a task, private task, last turn task. Last turn task is equal to process turns. Do I want to await this? No. If last turn task not equal to null and last turn task, what does wait do? Await last turn task. Then we'll call process turn here. I think that will work. I think that will work. So now I'm not going to start processing more turns until that last turn has been finished. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if that works, I suppose. Good luck figuring out what's wrong. Yeah, it's a crazy bug. Obsidian is like Notion. Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's just like a note-taking app. You know. Are you sure Autoresolve is supposed to work like that? Wait until you're low health and then Autoresolve? Well, the Autoresolve is manually toggleable. It's up to the player if they want to Autoresolve it. All Autoresolve does is it just skips all the animations. Because once you, I mean, essentially once you start the combat encounter. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, what is going on here? Okay, something is very strange. Once you start the combat encounter, like, it's a foregone conclusion who's going to win and who's going to lose. It's just not exactly easy for a human to know that from the get-go. But mathematically speaking, like, it's a foregone conclusion. And so you can just auto-resolve things at whim if you don't want to watch the animations play out. Okay, so that worked. Let's see. So yeah, all that matters currently is the initial state of both boards, and if assuming you are some kind of like super genius human, you'd be able to know ahead of time before clicking the begin button who's going to win, because everything is very rules-based and predictable, but there's just a lot going on such that it's hard for a person to keep track of that. So that's what the animations are. The animations are just a nice little presentation of how the simulation ultimately works out, but there's nothing about the animations that's like critical to the gameplay, you know what I mean? But I think that fixed it. So let's see. Begin. Wait for these to start playing. Click Autoresolve. It's going to finish the animations. And then it's going to go ahead and Autoresolve. I should probably test that a little bit more. Ooh. I got some errors there. Oh, why did I get some errors? Well, that's fine. I wasn't here before, but what exactly is the issue with the Autoresolve? It's just the issue that I think I just fixed is that when a turn is processing, if it's not an auto-resolve turn, then it's going to play all the animations, and it could take several seconds for the animations to finish playing. The problem is if you click the auto-resolve buttons while this turn is still in the middle of processing animations, the while loop kicks in and can like clobber or get the state disjointed because you have a turn that hasn't finished, which means it hasn't wrapped up its state yet. But then there's a bunch of other states running all at the same time in an instant because of that while loop. And so I think that was putting the game into a bad state. And so what I need to do now is, if there's a turn currently in process because it's not an auto-resolve turn, in other words, it's processing animations, when you request an auto-resolve, it needs to wait for that last turn to finish processing all of its animations and stuff before going into that while loop and doing all the turns at the same time. So I think that fixes the issue, but I just need to test it more thoroughly. That's all. And this enchantment stuff is broken beyond belief. Is that when the errors come up? No. Okay, well, I'm a little bit concerned here. Let's see. So if I do begin, click the auto-resolve, I died. We've got some debugger errors. Okay, what's in here? The type is not supported. System threading.task. Oh, what? Callable generic. Where is this? I don't know. This is not a very useful stack trace. Invalid operation. That only appears when the resurrection appears. There's a couple of bugs going on here. There's no randomization in the numbers. The cards all have predictable abilities and predictable tier scaling. The things that can be random are what tier the cards drop at. So the card, like a skeleton, could drop at tier 2 randomly. But the point is that it's always going to have the same damage at tier 2. The randomness comes in with the events that you get. So an event could be like add an enchantment to a card, which changes how the card works. And so that is where the randomness comes in. The randomness is more about the composition of your card's abilities rather than the numbers of the abilities themselves. And also the value, like, or the tier level of the card. So I think that's the best approach, because then a skeleton card is going to be a skeleton card every single run. It's going to have 8 damage or whatever it is every run. But you could take that skeleton card and you could alchemize it with a bunch of different cards. And then you could have a skeleton that applies poison and deals damage and gives you shield and applies fire or whatever. You know what I mean? And has like a really low turn cooldown. That's kind of where the randomness comes in. It's the experiences, the events that you come across in the game that you use to buff or change your cards. And then there will be randomness in terms of I want to do an artifact system where this is like the typical roguelike where you get these passive items that just change how everything works, right? So, you know, one of the artifacts I have is all certain types of cards are generated at 1 tier higher, right? Or boosters offer an additional card option. What is this? Start each combat encounter with 1 health. All poison damage heals equal to damage dealt. Oh, that's an interesting one. All minion cards gain 20% crit chance after each combat. A block, you know, so that's where the randomness is going to come in. So the numbers won't be randomized, but the stuff that you get during the run is what's going to be random. You seem to be winning in what underdog situations as well. Yeah. So I mean, that goes back to the mechanic I was talking about, the necrosis mechanic, which is just designed to prevent combat encounters from dragging on. Because you could end up in a situation where you are not out damaging the enemy and the enemy is not out damaging you, and that could end up in a soft lock situation where there is no resolution to the combat because you're just going to stay at full health indefinitely. And so the necrosis system kicks in after a couple of turns, after 15 turns. And what that does is that just applies the necrosis debuff to an enemy, which just deals increasingly high amounts of damage to the enemy. So basically, the enemy is forced to die if the run goes on long enough. And that's kind of borrowing a mechanic in the Bazaar. There's like a sandstorm mechanic where if the game is going on too long, a sandstorm comes in and it just keeps increasing in damage. And it just does equal damage to both boards until somebody dies. But in this game, I'm giving the advantage to the player in every situation. So the player is not going to be subject to necrosis. It's just the enemy. So anyway, that's how it's currently working. So yeah, if I ever win in an underdog situation, it's because there's actually like this hidden buff, the necrosis buff, basically. Big head mode. Oh, interesting. Yeah, everyone loves big head modes, right? Okay, so there's an issue in the resurrection scene itself. Oh, wait. I don't know what's happening. When I die, there's a weird issue. Okay, so I'm going to commit what I have first. So this Autoresolve is a little bit messy, but I think I'll just keep it. Oh, I think this needs to be moved down here as well. So I guess we're going to go on a bug hunting expedition. Who wants to come and grab your spears, grab your rifles, grab your machetes? We're going bug hunting. Legend has it that there's some giant bugs lurking around here somewhere, so better come prepared. It's not for the faint of heart. I recommend dropping off the stream now if you can't handle the sight of giant bugs. You've been warned. Okay. So, implement Autoresolve. All right, has everyone gotten their bug hunting gear donned? Let's go ahead and figure out what's going on. So there's a couple of bugs. So there's some kind of variant error when resurrection appears. This might only be for auto-resolve situations though. Let's see. The enchantment, I still haven't figured out. So it looks like I can just drop cards around like this. So that might be the big problem here. But there was also a situation where I couldn't drag the card back onto the inventory here, which is interesting. But I've got all these echoes now, which is not good. Turn cooldown enchant. Oh, goodness. I'm just going to let this... Actually, this is probably not going to beat me. Oh, maybe it will. The speed controls are nice. Although, I think I'm going to... Yeah, I won because of the necrosis. I might slow down the necrosis so that it doesn't do as much damage. I'll bring the popcorn. All right, that's fine. Can I bring my custom pitchfork? Absolutely, yeah. Homemade weapons are actually welcome because we're running low on supplies, so... Yeah, bring whatever you want. Bring your own beer, bring everything, whatever. We're gonna kill these bugs once and for all. Okay, so there's no error there. So it must be auto-resolve related. Oh, interesting. As soon as I clicked that... Oh. As soon as I clicked the auto-resolve button, that's what happened. Interesting. Oh. That's why. Signal handlers can't have return types. Or at least non-variant return types. So, okay, so that's fixed, I think. Alright. Then we can figure out... So that actually was a tiny bug. That might have been a false alarm. That might have been a false alarm. But we still have potentially a giant bug with the Echo Enchant, so don't leave the expedition just yet, everybody. To be the man who cried bug. Yeah. I think it's very important to crush these bugs early. I like to fix bugs as they come up. Got a couple comments, like especially on Gunforge, people were commenting about how bug-free the game was, and they were wondering how I did it. It's just because, like, if I see a bug, I fix it. I don't typically push bugs off to like, well, I'll fix that later, because a lot of times, too, when you encounter a bug during development, it may not always be safe to just say, well, I'll push that off and I'll fix that, later, because it's a minor thing. It may actually, like, a bug that pops up may actually reveal a deficiency I mean, obviously a bug is a deficiency, but it may reveal a deeper deficiency in how you've structured your code. And a lot of times bugs come up related to things that you have immediate context in. So in other words, the bugs are going to be related most often to the features that you're currently developing or the features that you have recently developed. And so it's easier to, when those bugs come up, to just resolve them as soon as is reasonable while you still understand the code that it's related to, right? I think if you just let bugs pile up, it just becomes harder and harder to fix them. But anyway. I shouldn't have put cards on the board. Shouldn't have done that. I'll just click Autoresolve. So this needs to say like auto-resolving so the animations can finish. Anyway, add enchantment to card, turn cooldown. Okay. How do I keep winning? Come on. I'm trying to test something. Let me lose. Wonder what happens if I pause and I click Autoresolve. Anyway, so no errors there. I think this is fine now. So I click begin. Okay, that seems to work. Okay. Accept final death, that does nothing, cool. The method is not implemented. Okay, that seems like something I wrote. So, okay, that's good. All right, fix variant bug. Now let's figure out what the enchant bug is all about. Variant bug done. We'll make this one easier to test. We'll go to the run manager, events equals this, events 0, event type dot enchant. The custom pitchfork skewers yet another bug. Well, thank you. Thank you for bringing that along. All right, good night. It's 1:30 a.m. here in Oz, so I need to sleep. All right, have a good night, Jake. Thank you for joining. Always good to see you here. And yeah, hope to see you again in the future. Structured code, just write everything in main function. That is one way to do it. That is one way to do it. Actually, there are like game jams that happen every so often where it's like a challenge to create like a single script game, or like there's even more extreme ones like a one-line game, which is kind of cool. Anyway. I like how you don't delete tasks you did and you just put them on a pile. Seems satisfying. Yeah. Well, there's a better, not a better, but there's another reason for this too, which is that when I make devlogs eventually for this game, I have a running record of everything that I did. So when I go to write the devlog script, or when I go to record the devlog, I don't need to like struggle to remember what did I work on. I can just scroll through this list and talk about things. So it's very useful. And it also, yes, it's very satisfying, because then you can look back and say like, wow, I did all this already. Okay, add enchantment to card, echo enchant. And it lets me put multiple cards here too, which is bad. So there's something going on here. On card placed, board can drop cards. Oh, you know what? Right. shoot. This actually doesn't do anything anymore because I think I changed the lock system for how the board input locks work. I don't think this can drop cards does anything anymore. So what this does is this adds an input lock. Oh, but this also adds drag locks. That's not good. Wait, is that good? I may have messed this up. Add drag locks for board. Shoot. I think I need to split this up. Input lock. So this add input lock, I think I need to change this. On combat started, add input lock. Yeah. So I need to do two different things. So this input lock is serving two functions. It's preventing cards from being dropped on the board. It's also preventing cards from being dragged from the board. The problem is that in the case of the enchant here, I want to be able to drop the card on the board to apply the enchant, and then I should be able to drag the card off the board, but I shouldn't be able to drag any other cards onto the board. So these need to be two separate things. So this is actually more accurately called add placement lock or something like that. Process, what is process? What is input up here? Is this just handling? Yeah, this is just handling the drop code. Okay. So let's call this placement locks. Remove, and this is going to be remove placement lock. Void lock drag. Private void unlock drag. Or let's do remove drag lock. Let's do add drag lock and remove drag lock. Okay, so this add placement lock here. On combat started, we also want to do add drag lock. Remove drag lock. So now we can control those two things independently. So now the problem though is this can drop cards. This is a publicly accessible field that does not actually take effect if I change the value. So what I probably should do, this can drop cards. I probably should remove this can drop cards here. Let's remove that, and then shoot. Actually, I'll probably keep the export variable, but remove the publicly accessible one. Okay, so now we need to change everywhere. Can drop cards equals true. I don't think I need that. So the apply enchant container, this is where I'm going to want to probably make these methods. This add drag lock, add placement lock and remove placement lock. I think I probably want to make these public. I think. Because then in here, add placement lock. And then the same where here. Board dot add placement lock. Is that going to work? Let's find out. Why don't you use Godot editor? I'm assuming you mean the code editor. It's because I'm using C#, and Godot does not have basically any built-in C# functionality. Yeah, you ask this question all the time. Yeah, it's getting to the point where I probably need to set up an FAQ. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like answering the questions, and I understand that people are coming to the stream brand new, and so they don't have all the context that a lot of the long-time viewers do. So, you know, it's kind of a balance, because I do want to answer the questions of people, but I also don't want to annoy the people that have heard the answer to that question many, many times. So it's not a problem at all, Serial. I just need to probably add some kind of FAQ section where I can just say, oh, check out the links in the description or whatever. But I haven't gotten around to that, so that's my bad. Okay, add enchantment to card, echo enchant. Boom. Okay, so now I can't move this card around, so I cannot place it multiple times. And I can move it. Oh, no. See, why couldn't I drag it into there? That's the problem. Why couldn't I do that? I don't understand. Let's make sure the alchemy still works too. Okay, is this board locked? What is going on here? Why can't I drop? Okay. Is there a way to check if... Let's see. If I go to my remote scene tree... Oh, did I do something wrong here? Oh, you know what? I think I messed something up here. Hold on. So that can drop cards that I removed from here, that field. I actually need that. That's like a configuration option. That was just exposing this configuration option. So that player board is being locked here for some reason. Or not for some reason. It's just being locked because I no longer am configuring that. Okay. I'm going to put that back then, and I'm going to find a different way of doing this, because the problem that I'm running into is that I'm going to make this mistake again where I think that I can change this value after the ready method has run, but changing this value after the ready method has run does nothing. And so one option is just to try to remember that I can't change this option here. The other option is I could, in the setter here, change the lock on the board based on when this value gets changed. Or I can rename it to like I don't know. Maybe I'll just try to remember it. Because the other option is like I could create in the setter here. I could say, well, I'll have a specific like lock for this can drop cards value. Actually, maybe this might be okay. Actually, Let me think about this. So if I set this, I can say if can drop cards, if not can drop cards and value, remove placement lock. Else, if can drop cards and not value, add placement lock. So it can detect when it's changing and then set that. That becomes a little bit nicer. And then what I can do is I can say, I'll just make sure to assign this here to the exported variable so that when I do that assignment, it will add the appropriate lock. And so now what that does is that gives me the ability to change the lock state by changing this Boolean. So if I ever make that mistake again, it should be fine. Ups. Do you have a development plan for this game other than the obsidian comment, like how long will this game take to make? I want to have a playable demo. Ideally, I want to be in early access within the next like 3 months or so. I mean, we'll see how that goes, but and hopefully have a playable demo for this community earlier than that so I can start getting feedback and whatnot. But we'll see. We'll see. This game has a lot of potential, so I want to be just like very careful with it, you know? I want to make sure, I don't want to rush it just for the sake of getting it done. I want to, you know, make sure it's as good as it can be. Ooh, I lost. Oh, the sword is always tough, yeah. Shield status applies. Animation delay. Bug. Okay, I think that's fine. Fix, drag, and drop bugs. Let's fix this incense tier scaling too. Perfect time to set up the Discord for that too. Yeah, I think what my plan is once I have a demo that's playable, so I can get like internal feedback from all of you, I'm gonna like do a video of that. I'm gonna launch the Discord and launch the playable demo at the same time. And so that'll just be like a big surge of people into the Discord, I think. But yeah, we'll see. I got to get this game into a good spot first. Probably what I'll do for the demo is I'll just basically have this, what I've got going on here, where maybe you can just play up to the first boss and experience some of the encounters and stuff. And I think that'll be a good kicking off point for everyone to tell me how the game feels, tell me how interesting the idea is, give me all kinds of ideas for different cards and abilities and stuff. And of course, express any issues that they have with the UI and whatnot. So I think basically like this experience that you see is what you will get for the demo, for the like, I guess you could call it like an alpha test. It's Obsidian. Obsidian with the Obsidian Kanban community plugin. All right, so let's see. Yeah, so the incense is not working. Tag adjacent speed. Speed ability set magnitude. Set, okay, so yeah. Query options. So I think the speed ability. Ah, I did this wrong. Oh, wait. I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at Bell. Tag reset cooldown. That's what I'm looking for. Reset cooldown ability set tier scaler. Make additive scaler. So if I go into my reset closest cooldown, take magnitude. So that is working. Oh, no, it's hard-coded here. So this is working. Get or query targets, right. So this is, I'm just gonna call this targets. For each var target in targets. So this was just hard-coded to only affect the first element. That was before I had the scaling in place. So now I should just be able to do target.reset cooldown. Which actually I don't even need this now. Okay, that should fix the bell. I don't think I even need to test that. I probably should, but I don't want to. We'll just call bell.increment tier here. And then we'll make sure that this is working. Reduces the cooldown of 2 enemy minion cards with the least turns remaining. Turn cooldown enchant on the bell is pretty good. Echo is very powerful. I might have to have different rarities of enchants, but... Alright, let's see. Oh, this is not gonna... We'll just do auto-resolve. Okay, that did not work in my favor. Let's just try again, I guess. Thank you, Craig. Appreciate that. Yeah. That's right. Obsidian. I gotta figure out a good enchantment UI as well. Dog and mutton, villager and arming sword. I need 2 villagers. Let's just do this. Just get through that. The auto-resolve is at least very nice for testing, that's for sure. Oops, I probably didn't want to do this. Okay, that worked. Come on. I just want to find 2 minions so I can test the bell here, please. This is where a debug console would be helpful. Okay, here we go. Oh, now I'm bugged. I can't put anything on the board. What is going on? Why am I not allowed to put anything on the board? So the board is like obviously in a locked state for some reason. I wonder if it's the auto-resolve causing it. Why would the board be in a locked state? Why would the board be in a locked state? Why would the player board be in a locked state? Add drag locks for board. Is it happening after an auto-resolve that I can't? Is it the case that maybe remove drag lock, move drag locks for board? No, it's not a drag lock. No, I can still drag the cards. It's a placement lock. So the remove placement lock is not working. Is this never happening? Is this on combat ended never happening for some reason? Oops. Turn manager, emit, oops, emit combat. Oh, you know what? Queued combat handled. Where does is combat ending get? Oh, on combat ending. I don't know what's happening here. Is combat ending? So is combat ending gets emitted, or combat ending gets emitted when one of the boards dies. In the turn manager, I'm listening for on combat ending. I'm setting it to is combat ending. Can auto resolve equals false. That's fine. So in here, is combat ending? Queued combat handled. Well, I guess the best thing to do here placement lock. Oh, the only thing I can think of is that these placement locks are not being properly set. So I think it's related to the auto resolve. Let's see. Let's put this here. Let's put this here. Let's just get to some combat and we'll see. Yeah. So I can no longer, after auto resolving, I can no longer place a card on the player board. It's calling remove placement locks twice. I need a way of knowing if this is the player board. Okay, there's one easy way to figure that out. Okay, let's just do this. I'm gonna have to debug some things. Let's do something for the... Actually, I guess I can probably move this into the remove placement locks. Here. Oh, I wonder if this is being set to -1. I just got to figure out these placement locks here. I think this is the problem. When in doubt, break the printout. All right. You are welcome, Ryan. Pitchfork time. Yes, indeed. We're going bug hunting. The animation for the alchemy is honestly so smooth it makes me think what kind of animation you could cook up for a type of forge where you combine two cards together with a special modifier. Yeah, so I want to do animations for basically all those events. By the way, thank you. But I definitely want to do animations for all these kind of events. So we've got like the booster animation. This, I want to have an animation for like breaking these windows here. Then for like the card upgrade event, having something like you described. Definitely want to make all the events feel really nice to use, because that's basically all the that's going to be the entire animation in all the game, right? There's not like a true, it's not like, yeah, it's basically a board game, you know? So I got to add some like oomph and feel somewhere. And I think doing it with the event animations is going to be good. Okay. Placement locks, yeah. So, oh, interesting. Yeah, the player board has -1 placement locks. Why is that the case? Did I break this? I think this is probably not right. If not, can drop cards and value. So that's different. Add placement. Let me do this again. It should never be -1. I mean, I could clamp it so that it never goes below 0, but the problem is that it should be, I don't know if the word is atomic. It should just be the case that if I add a lock, the only thing that should be able to happen next is removing the lock. Now, I probably could do something different. I could probably use like a stack or something. Why is it removing placement lock? I don't understand. Oh, I see. Yeah, I know what's happening. Shoot. So what's happening here is this is being set to true. This property is being set to true, which registers that's different than the backing field or the backing property, whatever it's called. And so it removes the placement lock. That doesn't make any sense, though. Does it? Okay. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. maybe I should just put this back the way it was and just only check that backing field. I don't know. Maybe that's the way I should fix it. That will keep everything in sync, I think, now. Why is this -1? Oh my gosh, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. Which board is this? What board? What board? It's got to be this one. Oh, I should probably change the name up here. That's probably why. It's probably the player board still. Some sort of rare encounter after X amount of turns. Yeah, I want to do rare encounters for sure. The real bug is thinking this would work on the first try. True, yeah. I have to leave now, but best of luck. All right, thanks, Craig. Always good to have you, and I hope to see you tomorrow. At least your bug's crushed with dignity. You should check out my code base. Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. Okay, let's see. Removing placement locks. So why is it still removing the locks? Can drop cards. Oh, right, because this is happening in the ready method. Ah. Okay, this is just a mess. This is an absolute mess. Okay. I am kind of tempted to just remove this now. Was there a reason why I couldn't do that before? Right, because then the player's going to start off with a placement lock. Okay, so this is... The problem is that this is controlled with an export variable, which is always going to be false in the case of me instantiating the board like I am in the code here. So anytime I instantiate a board, it's automatically going to be locked, which means I'm going to have to unlock it. So I'd almost prefer... reversing that. But then I have to go to every scene that uses a board and change that. That might be the way to do it. Let's see. View owners. These are all the scenes that use board. Oh. Okay. Can drop cards is on. So I might just reverse this. So here's what I'll do. I'll add another export variable here. Private bool disable card drop. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll get rid of this. So we'll just make all boards droppable by default, and we'll explicitly have to turn that off whenever I instantiate a board from code, which I'm also going to have to look at. But let's build this. Okay. Disable card drop, because that's correct. So it just needs to be inverted of that. There's no board in here. There's a board here. That's fine. Aqua container board. Yes, that's fine. Disable card drop for the booster card selection container. Card upgrade container. Okay. Oh, really? That was the only one? All right, well, that's fine. So now I can remove this can drop cards, but now I need to see where is this actually used? Where is this instantiated? Enemy board. Yeah, so in here, add placement lock. What are the other? Add drag lock. Wait, can I drag things off the enemy board now too? Oh, I never even tried that. I bet you I can drag things off of the enemy board. Oh no. That's fine. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this export variable. Okay, let's build. Okay. Gonna have to test all these boards now. But I think I'm probably gonna be able to I'm probably gonna be able to okay, I can't place things on there, that's good. I think I can probably drag things off the enemy board. That's not gonna be good. All these still work though, that's good. Drag this over. I can't drag these, why not? Oh yeah, I'm disabling it at the card level, that's why, okay. Begin Autoresolve. Is everything working now? Okay, so I can do this now. Make sure it gets locked in combat. This still works. That's good. Put this here. Okay, let's make sure that I can not do anything in combat here. Okay, that's good. Auto-resolve. It wants me to apply 2 of those. Auto-resolve. Okay, perfect. I just want to see, I want to get an enemy node or an enemy combat with an empty slot to see if I can drag cards onto the enemy board. I don't think I can. Villager arming sword. Yeah, so here. Can't do that. Can I do it when it's running? No. Okay. I think it's finally working. Alright. So get the lock situation all in place. Jeepers, that was a lot. I think this makes more sense now, though. We don't need this name anymore. Don't need that bell. Should probably actually fix bell ability as a separate commit and then fix placement locks issue. Okay, goodness. Alrighty. Thank you, Bryce. Should there be some visual indicator when you can perform any actions? It seems like you just have to click on things to see if you could. Users would do the same. Maybe, yeah. I mean, I was just doing that to test. I mean, when you're in combat, you should be able to drag things on the board, but yeah, maybe there could be like a lock or something. Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure I'll get a lot of user feedback about that stuff that I can take action on. But anyway, that's going to be it for the stream today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. If you want to support my work, please check out the links in the description below. I've got Gunforged available for sale, as well as my Udemy courses. And of course, you can also like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. I will be back at it streaming again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. So I hope to see you there, and have a good day, everyone. All right, bye-bye.